Hey, thank you for joining me. I'll just brief opening and then we'll go into questions. We've got appropriations that I've got some bills in here in a little while and going through it. Very excited that the House joined the effort in trying to get some numbers out there and followed really honestly the Senate lead in getting transparency going this week. They released their budget on Tuesday. It's the first time we saw it as well. And first time our members have been able to see it. So they've been going through the House website trying to make and reason what's going on. One staffer told me the Senate, showed the whole sausage making process. The House handed their hot dog, and so we're trying to figure out exactly what's in that hot dog. But I have to applaud them joining the effort on the transparency. I think it's going to move our state forward. Best of my knowledge, this is the first time in state history where everyone's numbers are public at this stage in the game. So Oklahoma wins in this process. This week I got a second bill off on trying to protect children from online predators. Proud to have worked with Representative Hassenbeck on that. One was on AI or computer-generated child pornography, and the other on sextortion. That is really a huge scourge on the nation, really internationally, with people targeting our children. It's unacceptable. Kids are taking their own lives because they feel so desperate. So I'm passionate about making sure we get all of that done. Was honored to lead recognition of the lives that were lost in the Oklahoma City bombing. Tomorrow, obviously, being the 29th anniversary, I felt it appropriate to have every name read on the floor. Somber moment, but we need to remember everyone we deal with has an immortal soul, and we lost 168 plus the 3 unborn children 29 years ago tomorrow. And so somber to be part of that. And I know the immigration bill just passed off the House floor. I don't know the timing of what we'll do on this side yet, just to preemptively get there in case there's questions on that. The timing of it, we will hear it. I just don't know when we'll hear it. And I'm getting feedback from caucus members and others from outside. I'll take any questions people have.
You and Speaker McCall co-authored HB 4156 on immigration. We've heard his goals, but what are yours?
The federal government has failed us, and to the extent that we can do anything as a state, we need to protect our people. We need to be, my take on it, we are a nation of immigrants, and we've got to be proud of that history, and we need to not demonize people who've come to this country legally. And nor should we demonize human beings, but we've got to protect our border, and the federal government has failed at it. We're taking action and trying to find a way that balances it, where Oklahoma can actually do it. Oklahoma's Constitution actually prohibits a Board of Immigration. Article 5, Section 48 prohibits us from doing anything like that, so we're trying to stay within the confines of our Constitution and the U.S. Constitution.
Circling back to the budget, have you had a chance to kind of digest the big areas where you think likely the disagreements will be? Or where you want to find commonality?
First off, I want to answer your second part first. Okay. There's a huge development that Senator Thompson and Senator Hall were able to get Chairman Wallace to agree to. And that is, in years past, we've had an agreement on a line item. State Department of Education is going to get X number of dollars. But then we disagree on something later on the budget, and then that gets wiped out. The big advancement, and it's very nuanced and esoteric, but don't lose it. We have an agreement with the House that if we have numbers that align on any one of those things that you see on the spreadsheet, we're not renegotiating those. Those are we're in agreement, we're moving on, we're checking the box and moving on down the road. That is a huge accomplishment that Senator Thompson and Senator Hall were able to deliver. We're appreciative of Representative Wallace agreeing to that in the House. As far as areas of disagreement, their budget doesn't account for a lot of areas of funding that they sent to us. And so we're still trying to reconcile if they sent us a Title on bill that appropriates money, but it's not in their budget. Is that on purpose? Do they really not see that as a priority anymore? Or is it just used to justify a quarter-point tax cut to be able to show a balance? Because there's some areas there where, for instance, on teachers, they don't show them spending any money on flex benefit allowance. That would go counter to recent history big time if they did not fund FBA or flex benefit allowance. They've got ours showing we're fully funding it and they're at 0. I'm hard pressed to believe that that true House position is they don't want to fund that. Are they just trying to have an accounting trick to justify a tax cut? Or are they trying to use it to leverage and say, hey, Senate, we'll give you the flex benefit allowance if you give us X? We won't play that game. Obviously, we'll have to see their hand a little more closely. We're still trying to diagnose where the big differences are. We are committed to making sure maternity leave is funded. I see theirs has 0 in there. I'm just trying to figure out where the real differences are. I'm still doing the analysis.
The tax cut, they still have the tax cut in there, and you're still firm against no personal income tax cut.
Yeah, I mean, we delivered on one 2 years ago. I want to make sure that we never lose sight that the Senate has been for personal income tax cut, just not at this time. We made a statement early on in session that, you know, we had a 4-hour caucus meeting and we had 3 or 4 caucus meetings prior to that discussing all this, and then 13 meetings prior to that talking about taxes and what could we afford given the Board of Equalization numbers. We were waiting on those February 15th numbers. Once we got those, we made swift action to deliver on the grocery sales tax, elimination of the state portion. And that's truly what we believe we can afford and have a sustainable budget moving forward without jeopardizing the future of Oklahoma.
In regards to HB 4156, there are concerns this will create a workforce issue and a profiling problem. Could you see those being issues? If so, how do you combat it?
I think we're just trying to make sure the law is enforced. Where the federal government is failing miserably to enforce the law, we're wanting to make sure Oklahoma, to the extent we're allowed constitutionally, within our constraints of both the state and the federal constitution, protect our people.
You mentioned about if a line item or even an entire agency budget aligns your Senate and the House both, that it's pretty much a done deal, right? Have you taken the time to add up all of that, all of those figures?
No, I haven't, but when you Senate appropriations, which will be starting back up at 1:30, when you look at that spreadsheet and you see a column that has a 0% or the numbers are the same in the House and Senate column, those are the ones I'm talking about. I have not added them yet.
I think right now there's like more than $1 billion with the difference between your proposed and their proposed. Would you characterize that more as insurmountable or something that would be more typical of the negotiations at this stage?
Well, you know, we did not spend $1 billion of cash. They've expensed that as if we spent that money. So that's a huge part of the deal. We saved back $1 billion of cash to be able to have in the future in case there's a shortfall. The House, and I don't know if they were being cute or if it's just their way they do the accounting, they expense that toward a Senate expense. The fact that we were not spending it, they spent it to show it on the spreadsheet. And so I'm still trying to analyze it all. I don't think we're as far apart as $1 billion would appear. I think it's more accounting tricks to show that, hey, we're more conservative than the Senate because we spent less. But in the real deal, I think we really add up much more closely.
One of the things they did was they took all of the money that your total bills would spend and threw it all in there, even if the bills didn't have title on them. They were just been passing.
Correct. We noticed that. We also noticed that they didn't include the bills that had title on that came over from the House. So there's undoubtedly gamesmanship, but that's fine. We're bringing them closer to the transparency that we all desire. And so I applaud them trying to get to some sense of transparency. I think I sat here a week or two ago and told you I thought the teacher pay deal was a red herring, that we had to finish the FY24 before we finished 25. We've not had a JCAB meeting to solve that issue. So they were buying time to be able to get this together. I knew that, we knew that. But it takes two to tango, and we're working on the budget together, and we respect their part of the process. But their budget numbers don't accurately reflect the position of the House, I believe. If they do, it's a huge change off of what their subcommittee chairs have been telling our subcommittee chairs heretofore.
Are we ahead of the game then?
We're way ahead of the game. We normally have these fights and blowups that we had a week or two ago toward the end of April. And so if you want to measure it, measure when the fights start. And we normally start toward the 3rd or 4th week of April. I know it's uncomfortable for some people. I don't run away from controversy, I run to it, and we needed to force that to be able to start having productive conversations.
What's happening on your car tax bill?
You know, I heard that Representative Hilbert amended it to honor my son's name. I did not do that on this side, but I appreciated him doing that. I think it's going forward really well. In fact, Representative Hilbert told me that, having talks with the Turnpike Authority, that they think they're going to get enough revenue off of compliance that they can help fund some of the advertising part of the campaign. So I've been pleased with the work.
So there'll
Representative.
be an awareness campaign about it too?
Yeah, in that bill that I had, that's a mandated part of it, and $1.5 million cost and all that. But we want to make sure that, because part of the thing will change. It's going to make it better long term, but it's going to be confusing for people at first if we don't get the word out and get out the word effectively on what the new process is. And so I insisted that we have an advertising part of it. Representative Hilbert found a way to help fund that and offset some of the cost of it. All right.
Thank
Thank you.
sir.